Truthfully Speaking Grace is a global podcast dedicated to connecting, celebrating, and inspiring listeners with empowering conversations. Join host Agatha Corbin as she gracefully builds with real people, sharing real stories, and unlocking real enlightening truth. Welcome. This is Truthfully Speaking Grace Podcast with your amazing host, Agatha Corbin, giving you real conversation with powerful topics and connecting with real inspirational people from all over the world. So sit back, relax, and let's get this podcast started. Hello, world. Today's topic on Speaking My Truth is finding my passion back after surviving for so long. Part of my journey is being in survival mode. As a young person, it wasn't so hard in surviving because, again, I was the youngest of three with two older parents that pretty much took very good care of me. The survival mode probably came about high school and up, surviving being different, surviving college as an Afro-American female, surviving being a single parent to two amazing young men, surviving coming back to my community and seeing it change and becoming more oppressed over my city, surviving working in corporate America in and after college, and surviving seeing my parents get older, get sicker, surviving witnessing the death of both my parents. And so after all of that, and then also having issues with working in the community, surviving with economic issues of my own, I found myself, now that I'm in my more seasoned age, that I did so much surviving that I lost a little bit about my passion. And since April is Mental Health Month, this is going to be kind of a therapeutic time for me to talk about recapturing your passion. It's okay to be in survival mode. It's okay to be the fighter, fight for your family, fight for your community, fighting in corporate America, and definitely as a mother, fighting for your children, particularly when you are raising two African American males in this country. You're always in the fight, in a positive fight. But with that came a little bit of anger, a lot of anxiety, somewhat a little bit of mistrust, and therefore I lost that spark there for a while. God allowed me for the last 18 to 24 months to kind of take a step back, get quiet. You know, he does that sometimes. He forces people like me, who is known as the Energizer Bunny. I used to think that was a great compliment, but now the Energizer Bunny is now seasoned and learned on some things about all that energy. I want to take all that energy and get my passion back, my passion for love and life, and why I fight, why the fight. Sometimes you get so caught up in the fight. For example, you get so caught up of creating a business because you want to do better. You want better for your family. You want better for your retirement years. So you use all these times and energy and building and building and building and fighting and fighting. And then in the end, you're too exhausted or stressed out or sick, because stress can cause a lot of illness, that you forget why you did it, why you're fighting, and the passion is gone. And then you wake up and your life is just about halfway over, or you're feeling even more depressed because you feel like you've wasted even more years because you can't enjoy the fruits of your labor. So in this podcast, I'm speaking my truth that I stopped doing that. I stopped fighting in survival mode. I asked God, honestly, show me how to fight differently. So now I'm fighting differently. And this podcast, Truthfully Speaking Grace podcast, is a way or an outlet for me to fight with passion, to hear others' truth, to share my truth. This is a vulnerable place for me. Yes, I'm the community activist, businesswoman, and used to be Energizer Bunny. But I'm also a nurturer. I'm also a very passionate woman that loves life, loves to travel, loves to hear people's truth. And I want to hold fast to that. So in this podcast, I hope anything that you get out of it is slow down and really take stock on what makes you happy, what gives you that fire in your belly. Is it art? Do you like to sing? Are you a painter? Is it being athletic? I mean, I've witnessed senior citizens who are phenomenally getting around better than most of our young people because they found their passion. They're joining marathons. They're traveling around the world. They're taking cooking lessons. They're doing dance lessons. And I'm looking at that. Well, even with my parents, I didn't lose my parents until they were well in age. My father was in his 80s and my mom was 101. So they lived their life to the fullest and with passion in their belly. And I remember my mother saying on near her deathbed is just be happy. She prophesied some things over my life that at that time I didn't want to accept it because I felt like I was in survival mode so long that I didn't deserve that kind of happiness. That's just a Gaitha's truth. But I'm pretty sure out there in this world, your truth is just as deep and your passion is just as wonderful. And I want you to find that truth. Write down what you are passionate about. Are you passionate about education? Are you passionate about traveling the world and seeing different cultures? I know that I am. So as we get this podcast up and running and we'll have guests and people and speakers from all over, take stock on what your passion is and get out of the survival mode, or at least slow down in it. In finding my passion, a colleague posed a question to me last night. What would your current self tell your former self as a child, as a preteen, as a teenager, and a college student? Well, the Miss Corbin now would tell little Peaches, listen to your parents. They know what the heck they're talking about. Because when we're young like that, particularly that preteen, teenage years, as my mother says, when you start smelling yourself, you really miss out on being obedient to some of those wise words that they had. So I would tell little Miss Peaches to slow your roll. You don't know everything, and to listen to your parents. As far as my older teenage years, I would say slow down. Life is still going to be there. Slow your roll. Little bit too much of a go-getter on certain things, particularly when it came to just getting out there trying to make it. And my college self, oh, wow. Definitely make better decisions. It's okay to be passionate, but sometimes there's got to be some kind of wisdom and knowledge in making those kind of decisions, particularly on who you date, where you work, and what classes to take so you're not wasting scholarship time and money. I mean, I know in my age group, we were called the X generation, which I knew who I was, but I guess they said we didn't. But a lot of us did. But I believe in our generation, we took advantage of a lot of where we really were. So I would say to my former self as a college student, go to all the classes, and it's okay to change your mind and change your major and stick to it, and be careful who you give your heart to. Thanks for listening to Truthfully Speaking Grace Podcast. Stay tuned for another episode with more real conversations, celebrating real and inspiring people from all around the world.